By the way, didn't your wife take the threaded one? Why did you take the ultra-thin one? The boss asked me casually while scanning the code. What? Threaded? I had always used ultra-thin ones. My wife, Sue May, knew that. I just felt like the world was spinning, and my face instantly turned red. Of course, wasn't because I was embarrassed, but because I was angry. Obviously, I had been on a business trip for 7 days and only came back today. Obviously, before I went out, I had asked my wife if the little umbrella was gone, and she said it wasn't. The boss said that my wife came to buy 2 boxes 2 days ago. I took a deep breath and said the boss's words without a trace. I remembered that my wife was holding ultra-thin. Am I mistaken? The boss nodded affirmatively. You must not have paid attention yourself. We were out of stock 2 days ago, only threaded. I also pretended to shake my head in affirmation. But what my wife took back was ultra-thin. Didn't she buy it at your house? There were 3 convenience stores downstairs in the community. Each one sold little umbrellas. So when I said this, it was actually normal. But the boss was not happy. Oh, why don't you believe what I said? The boss transferred the surveillance video from the past 2 days. In the video, my wife was wearing a white dress with waist-length long black hair draped softly. She also looked like she had put on delicate makeup. As soon as she entered the door, she took 2 boxes of small umbrellas and paid for them. And the goal was very clear. The boss zoomed in on the video. Do you see? Is it threaded? I looked at the picture in the video. My wife chatted and laughed freely with the boss, and while paying, she naturally put the small umbrella in her bag. I felt like my heart was being pulled, and I almost suffocated in pain. I shook my head, still unable to believe that my wife had betrayed me. I put my things back, ignored the boss's shouts, turned around, and hurriedly walked upstairs to the community. My wife and I met at a friend's party. When we met for the first time, she was beautiful and gentle, and she almost became the most ideal type in the eyes of all the men present. Of course, in my eyes too. Later, I chased her for a whole year, and then I won her heart. After getting married, I also handed over all my salary, leaving only the basic living expenses every month and letting her spend the rest. In terms of housework, I was reluctant to let her do it, and I did the dishes, laundry, mopping the floor, etc. I thought the people married me to enjoy happiness, not to be a servant. Compared with other women, even my wife herself felt that she was married to the right person. It's just that in the past 2 years, she and I have been busy and were in the rising period of our careers, so we had no plans to have children. We planned to get pregnant again in 2 years, so we had been using contraception. Our relationship had been very good in the past 2 years, and she had been gentle and petty with me. I was considerate of her, so I really didn't expect that she would cheat on me behind my back. I entered the elevator with a gloomy face. The elevator door was about to close when it was opened again. Hey, are you my brother? Coming in was our neighbor of the same apartment type on the 19th floor downstairs. I nodded, and I didn't have the heart to talk to him at all. All I had in my mind, that was why my wife cheated. Why she would do something so hurtful to me. Brother, I was looking for you. You seemed to run into me just in time. There was a newborn in the neighbor's house. Last year, we had a party at home, and there were more people, and the chairs were pulled back and forth, which affected the rest of the neighbors downstairs and the newborns. When he came to the door, he also brought a box of fruit and said that we should pay attention, and the attitude was still very good. I thought this neighbor was easy to get along with, so we added friends to each other. Sometimes there was an occasional water and power outage, and they would communicate with each other. What's wrong? In the middle of my thoughts, I looked up at him. The neighbor was a little embarrassed, brother, I don't blame you. But look, my daughter's little quilt was just taken out to dry, but when it was taken back, there were 2 more holes, look. My heart trembled suddenly. although I smoked, because my wife didn't like the smell of cigarettes. She sometimes even rejected my intimacy because of the smell of smoke on me. So I quit before I got married. So the person who smoked upstairs and caused the neighbor's quilt to be burned was definitely not me. I only felt bursts of a whirlwind. I heard my voice dry. "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll definitely pay attention later." I paused. "You see, that confused me. What day is this?" The neighbor waved his hand. It's okay. What is a small quilt?" "I'll just tell you. By the way, when did you say it happened?" "I mean, when did the quilt get burned? I'll buy a new one later and send it to you." I tried to be as natural as possible. "Hey, it was like this the day before yesterday." I didn't want to bring up the subject of a broken quilt, but it's been like this for 2 days in a row, you see. My head buzzed with a boom, as if something exploded in my head. He also brought people back, still 2 days in a row. I closed my eyes, and the hand behind my back couldn't help but shake. The neighbor was a little embarrassed after saying this, but you don't need to compensate, brother. Just don't smoke on the balcony in the future. Just as the elevator arrived, the neighbors said hello and left. I pressed the button on the 20th floor of the elevator expressionlessly. Ding ye. The elevator door opened. I stood at the door for almost 5 minutes. At this time, my brain was running fast. If my wife really cheated, so who was the person who cheated? Was it a colleague? A friend? A neighbor? Or an ex-boyfriend? But I thought about it again and again. Her circle of friends was very clean, and there were almost no friends of the opposite sex. The only ex-boyfriend was also abroad, so the object of her cheating would definitely not be her ex-boyfriend. She was a teacher at school, and most of her colleagues were women, and there were few men, and most of them were not young. I didn't believe my wife would leave me in my 20s and go to an old man. It shouldn't be right, even more so if it was a neighbor, because although my wife was also in the owner group, she had almost never spoken to the group and did not know the neighbors nearby. So even if I wanted to break my head, I couldn't think of who my wife was cheating on. She was bold enough to bring people home, and it was 2 days in a row. No, it should be more than 2 days. The past 2 days were just because the man was smoking on the balcony and burned the quilt of the neighbor downstairs. So I was sure that the person had been there for 2 days in a row. Thinking of this, I almost lifted my foot and kicked the door. I wanted to go in directly and ask my wife why she cheated and why she did something so hurtful to me. However, I still held back. Now I had no evidence. If I asked her rashly, not only would it scare her and scare the snake, but it would be even more difficult to know who that man was, so I definitely could not be impulsive. Over the years, my salary card had been with her, and last month my mother put her only savings of $2 million into her card, so that she could rush to her career without worries and then have children early. And I also added her name to this house when I got married, and now it was only bad for me. I took a deep breath and was about to raise my hand to knock on the door when I received a message on my phone. "Husband, colleagues gathering. I'm going to go out. You go home and wait for me there. I'll be back soon." As soon as I retreated to the stairwell, I heard her make a phone call. "Husband, I'll be there soon." I looked down at my phone. My phone was as quiet as a chicken. There was neither a phone call nor information. So who was this call for? Who was this husband in her mouth? In order to avoid startling the snake, I didn't come out immediately, but waited for her to enter the elevator, and then I followed. Kitty, because I came out of the elevator at the back. When I walked to the gate of the community, I only saw a silver car driving out, and I didn't even see the license plate number clearly. I stood there for a while before turning around and going home. The first thing I did when I got home was go to the balcony. At first glance, I saw the soot falling on the table. I didn't see the cigarette butts. They should have been bounced downstairs by the adulterer. But because of this, The quilt of the neighbor downstairs on the balcony was burned, and it further confirmed the fact that my wife was cheating. A gust of wind blew, and I looked at the ash in the corner, only to feel chills. I waited in the living room until almost 12 o'clock in the evening when I heard the door open. "Husband, why haven't you slept yet?" My wife, Sume, looked at me in surprise. If it were before, I would naturally be very tired when I came back from a business trip and would have gone to bed early. She looked at me fixedly, her eyes flashed for a moment, and she looked away. "Husband, why are you looking at people like this?" After saying that, she took off her shoes and threw herself into my arms. "Husband, I'm so tired." After saying that, her head was still rubbing against my chest. If it had been before, I would have hugged her distressfully long ago, and I would have comforted her. But at this time, I smelled the strange shower gel coming from her. I only felt a surge in my stomach, and I almost vomited it out. "Husband, what's wrong with you?" She noticed my strangeness, and my wife raised her head and looked at me. I exhaled without a trace and clenched my fists, but I smiled on my face. "It's okay. I just came back from a business trip, and I'm a little tired." I deliberately pinched the corners of my eyes, looking very tired, and my wife laughed and pulled me up. "Husband, you are tired. Don't just sit there. Take a shower quickly. Go to bed early after washing." After saying that, she thoughtfully took my pajamas and bath towel and, closing the bathroom door, I punched the bathroom wall. "Husband, what's wrong?" My wife's voice sounded outside. "Oh, it's okay. The shower gel fell just now," I replied to the outside. She didn't say anything more. When I packed up and came out of the bathroom, I saw that my wife was already asleep in bed. My wife was very good-looking. After a few years of marriage, she hadn't had a child yet, and her slender figure was stuck in the quilt at this time. I had to admit that any man would be moved when he saw it. And even if she fell asleep at this time, she had a quiet smile on her face which seemed to be very satisfied. I turned off the lights and lay down on the very edge. I was just about to fall asleep when I saw my phone on the bedside table light up. It was my wife's phone. I paused for a second and picked up my phone. My wife and I both knew each other's boot passwords. It's just that for so many years, I had never looked at her phone because I trusted her. I entered the boot password familiarly, but what was waiting for me was the big words input error. I stared at these words and subconsciously raised my hand to drop the phone. Just at the last second, I stopped. I glanced at Sume and put the phone back in place. The next day, when I woke up, my wife had already prepared breakfast. While eating, I picked up her phone. "Wife, my phone is out of battery. I'll use your mobile phone to type a message." "Hey, husband, wait a minute." I quickly entered the password, looked at the phone that was not opened, and asked her in surprise, "Wife, has your mobile phone password changed?" Just as his wife came out, her face turned pale. "That's husband. When did you change your mobile phone password?" "Why don't I know?" I handed her the phone. "Quick, untie it. I need to type a piece of information," I said to her casually. "That, husband? What are you going to type?" "I'll help you." She saw me waiting quietly, so she could only take the phone and crack the password trembling lie. "That, husband, what are you going to type?" "I'll help you." I glanced at her. "You log onto my network disk and then type the first one out for me. I'll go to the toilet." I stayed in the bathroom for 10 minutes. This left her enough time to delete various chat records. When I came out of the bathroom, her stiff face just now finally returned to normal. And as if to prove something, she went to the kitchen to wash the dishes. And the phone was placed on the table. "Husband, washing dishes. You can just use my mobile phone to call in the study. The password is our wedding anniversary." I hummed lightly and took my phone to the study. Skillfully turning on my phone, I checked WeChat, social networking sites, and information again. Everything was fine. I sneered and threw my phone on the table. It seemed that the deletion was quite clean. I sat in the study for a while and used this time to order a few pinhole cameras online. A few days later, I installed the cameras I received and told my wife that I was going on another business trip. The night before departure, as soon as the lights were turned off, my wife got into my arms. Her hand was still down. I held her hand. Wife, I'm so tired. I closed my eyes. My wife withdrew her hand unhappily and turned around. How do you feel that you have changed since you came back this time? Her voice was muffled, and she looked sullen. If it were before, I would definitely not stay for a second. I would turn around and hug her in my arms, and then coax and coax until she smiled. But this time, I turned over and closed my eyes calmly. When I came back from this business trip, I didn't touch her for more than half a month, and she only went out once on the first day I came back from a business trip. And the next day, I found out that the password was changed, which was a bit wrong. The rest of the time, she was very natural. I came home on time after get off work and never stayed outside too much. This made me unable to catch the infidelity, even if I wanted to. I was forced to make myself travel again. When I got up the next day, my wife was probably still a little angry about me not touching her yesterday. So, she left without making breakfast. I packed my things and went straight to the airport. When I got to the airport, I pretended not to know she was angry. I sent her the ticket information and took a photo of myself at the airport to send to her. Wife, I love you. My husband is gone. He won't come back in 5 days. You have to remember to eat, you know. Love you. After sending the message, I took my luggage and went directly to the room near my house that I had booked early. As soon as I arrived at the hotel, I threw off my shoes and immediately turned on my phone. I turned on the mobile phone and computer, and soon the 5 cameras at home appeared on the computer at the same time. I bought 5 cameras which were installed in our master bedroom, living room, and balcony, and the last one was installed by me in the guest bedroom. Even the camera outside the door, which had been broken for a long time, was repaired by me. Don't tell me anything, it's not good that I have so many cameras at home. At this time, I was covered with green clouds, and if I hadn't been sane, I would even want to install one in the bathroom. However, the camera in the living room could also capture the bathroom door, so I forget it. Now everything was ready, only the east wind was out. After ordering takeout, I stayed in front of the computer. That night, my wife commuted to and from work normally and I couldn't see anything wrong. I was a little bored, so I took out my phone and sent her a message. Wife, my mother said she still wants to buy a house, and this time she wants to write your name. I sent her the property information I had searched for in advance. The large flat floor Riverview, more than 5 million. Buying a house was fake. Of course. I mainly wanted to get back the money my mother gave her. Those more than 2 million. Except for buying a house. I couldn't think of any other way to get them back. My wife sent me back a message after a while. Husband, this house is so expensive. Is it really just my name? I saw her take the bait and I tapped my finger on the screen a few more times. Of course it's true. My mother has always liked you very much. For fear that I would bully you, she said to write your name. You will feel safe. The message was quickly replied to over there. But, more than 5 million. Why do we have so much money? Me. Didn't my mother give you 2 million before? My salary over the years should be 7 or 800,000, right? No matter how little. My mother said that she was going to sell the old house at home. And she didn't live in it anyway, so it would be better to sell it for us to change to a large flat floor. I sent another heart emoji. After a while, she didn't reply to my message. I looked at the computer, but I saw my wife walking back and forth in front of the sofa with her mobile phone biting her lip, obviously considering the feasibility of this matter. In order for her to make a decision as soon as possible, I sent her a screenshot of the deposit. Let me tell you secretly, wife, my mother has prepared all the money for the decoration. If it is changed, we will be able to live in a new flat floor by the end of this year. I didn't dare to say anything else, for fear that she would suspect something. but she didn't respond immediately, just said that she would consider it. On the first day, everything was calm. I almost fell asleep while watching the computer. The next day, my wife also went to work normally, but he didn't come back in time after get off work, but didn't get home until after 9 o'clock in the evening. At around 6 o'clock, I asked her if she was off work. She told me that she was off work and was shopping with her colleagues in the mall, so I transferred her 10,000 yuan. My wife was very happy and immediately sent me a few heart emojis. 10 o'clock. Seeing that my wife didn't seem to go out after taking a shower, I thought I would have to squat for another day in vain today. But unexpectedly, I saw my wife enter the bedroom, pick up the perfume, and spray it a few times. I chuckled in my heart and instantly sat up straight, staring at the screen tightly. Sure enough, after just over 10 minutes, I saw a man wearing a peaked hat on the camera screen at the door. As soon as the doorbell rang, I saw that my wife had rushed out. The moment they opened the door, the two hugged each other tightly. The next picture was a bit eye-catching. I saw that from the beginning of the meeting. The two kissed all the way to the living room and then from the living room to the master bedroom. Clothes were lost on the ground. My blood seemed to have solidified, and I stared blankly at the monitor screen. And my wife, who was always reserved in front of me, was now like a slut, doing all kinds of indescribable actions. Say, am I powerful or your husband is powerful? Huh? I saw the man suddenly stop. You. Of course it's you. My wife didn't even hesitate for a second and immediately replied, Hey, little bitch, you'll make me happy. The man slapped her with a smile. The only thing that relieved me was that the adulterer didn't last long. The intensity was quite intense, but the time was less than 15 minutes. Plus for play. I saw that after the two fought fiercely, the man went to the bathroom. When he came out, he only wrapped a bath towel around and went to the balcony to smoke. After a while, my wife also came out dressed again. I looked at the man's scarlet cigarette butt, which was dropped from the upper floor again. After a while, my phone vibrated. Mr. Chen, a neighbor on the 19th floor, sent me a message. No, brother. What are you doing? Smoking upstairs again. I looked at the message on my phone and saw the man lighting a cigarette again in the video. I had an idea and suddenly thought of a way to get my money back quickly. I sent a message to Mr. Chen and transferred another 10 yuan. Soon I saw Mr. Chen come to my door. I saw him slamming the door hard. In the house, my wife had already been lying on the bed in the master bedroom with the man. But she jumped up from the bed in a panic after hearing a knock on the door. Who? My wife stood carefully in the living room and asked apprehensively, I am your downstairs resident. You open the door. I have something to do with you. At this time, Mr. Chen's voice was quite good. I saw my wife hesitating for a moment, looked at herself, and then hesitantly opened the door on the inner floor. Seeing that outside the house was Mr. Tan from downstairs. You, what's the matter with you? Is it, Mr. Chen? I told you not to smoke upstairs. Do you still smoke? My quilt has been burned by you. Why don't you listen to me several times? My wife's heart trembled. No, we didn't smoke on the balcony. Mr. Chen was angry. I saw a cigarette butt fall just now. Who did you throw it? Okay, since you said you didn't smoke. Then let me take a look. Otherwise, I can only call the police and find the police to come and check. Hearing Mr. Chen mention the police, his wife seemed to be visibly panicked. It's really not what we threw. No. Otherwise, come in and take a look. My wife hurriedly opened the door and let Mr. Chen in. As soon as Mr. Chen entered the door, he went to the balcony. There were indeed no cigarette butts on the balcony. So Mr. Chen could only shake his head and walk out. Just when he passed by the living room, he suddenly stopped. By the way, where's your husband? Why didn't I see him? I asked if he smoked it. After saying that, Mr. Chen went straight to the master bedroom. Hey, wait, you can't go in. My wife was shocked and chased after him. Of course. No one was seen in the master bedroom. Behind the curtain, I held my phone and watched the surveillance video and opened my mouth lightly. No one noticed that Mr. Chen still had a Bluetooth headset on his ear. Mr. Chen paused for a moment and then straight opened the curtains in the master bedroom. Just heard a bang, and a man wearing only a pair of pants appeared in front of Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen, who is this? Where is Xiao Li? I heard my wife's voice sharp. This is here to repair the water pipes. I retracted my gaze and didn't look at the computer screen anymore. With trembling hands, I tore open the newly bought cigarette and lit it. The scarlet light flickered in the dimly lit hotel room. Unlocked my phone and sent a message to Sume. I'll come back the day after tomorrow. Don't think about it. I also knew how Sume had been doing in the past 2 days, and she was walking back and forth restlessly at home. She even took a leave of absence. On the other hand, she also asked me several times tentatively, did Mr. Chen from downstairs say anything to me? I always pretended to be stupid. On the day I went back, she came to pick me up at the airport. She brought a bouquet of flowers. Seeing my surprised look, she blushed and explained, "Husband, it has been a long time since people have come to pick you up, so naturally I want to surprise you." I smiled. As soon as I got home, the door had just closed and she suddenly turned around and hugged me tightly. Seeing that her lipstick-rubbed mouth was about to come up, my heart was churning, and I pushed her away and rushed directly to the bathroom. Sorry, I really threw up. Even holding her in just now, I felt dirty. I rubbed my hands with hand sanitizer several times, but as soon as I looked up, I saw her looking at me with a pale face. "Husband, what's wrong with you? Do you think I'm dirty?" "No need to say it," I thought to myself. But on my face, I held back my nausea and hugged her in my arms. "What are you talking about? Little fool. I ate a very spicy hot pot on this business trip, and my stomach should be a little uncomfortable, and I should be a little nauseous and have diarrhea." She listened to my explanation, then laughed and retaliated by beating me twice. "I thought you cheated outside on this business trip, but when you came back, you disliked me." Where she couldn't see, my face was cold. "How could it be? I love you so much. Why would you be willing to find someone else?" After coaxing for a while, she finally went to the kitchen. "Husband, you have a good rest. I'll cook today's meal." I nodded. Sitting on the sofa, I watched her busy in the kitchen coldly. Before eating, I saw her fingers tapping a few times on her phone. The next moment, I received her transfer, 3.3 million. Seeing my surprised look, she smiled. "Husband, don't you want to buy that big flat floor? This is the 2 million your mother gave me before, as well as your salary of 800,000 yuan, and the rest is my savings." I showed a look of surprise at the right time. "Didn't you say you wanted to think about it? Why did you suddenly decide?" I saw her face stiffen for a moment, and then she forced a smile and said, "Oh, don't people think that it is much more convenient for us to go to work in the city center over there? Why are you asking so much?" I nodded and didn't say anything more. But in fact, I knew in my heart that she was so desperate to move out. It was just that I was afraid that Mr. Chen from downstairs would say something to me. Anyway, the money had been returned, and I didn't want to say more about the rest. But since she cheated, I would never let her go so easily. "It's your birthday in a few days. I will hold you a birthday party at the hotel, and you can invite more colleagues and friends to come." I suddenly smiled. She was stunned for a moment and said in surprise, "Really? Husband?" I smiled meaningfully. "Of course it's true when the time comes. I will give you a big surprise." She kept asking me what the surprise was, but when I said it, I was not surprised and I was fooled. She asked for a while and then gave up, but I immediately picked up my phone and started calling my friends and colleagues who were having a good time every day. I lit a cigarette. Through the thin smoke, I only felt that the woman in front of me seemed to exude a smell of corruption. Disgusting. It was disgusting. I sat before her, and I could not eat. I stood up and took my coat to go out. Husband, where are you going so late? I shook my phone. Mr. Chen downstairs asked me to drink. I'll go sit down. The bowl in Sume's hand fell to the ground with a click. That, husband, I'll go with you. She grabbed her coat and chased after me. I didn't care. Just when we arrived at the food stall downstairs, Mr. Chen and I drank wine, punched and smoked. She sat next to me seriously the whole time for fear that Mr. Chen would say something to me. Of course, she also blocked a lot of wine for me. It didn't end until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. She saw that she couldn't hold on anymore, but she didn't want to go back. I saw that the time was almost up, and after it was over, I took her home. As soon as she got home, she fell asleep on her pillow. I picked up my phone and sent a message. After a while, there was a knock on the door. I took Mr. Chen to the study, locked Sume's mobile phone, and handed it to him. Are you really sure you can recover all the chat data on this, mister? Chen sneered. Just wait and see. I saw him tinkering a few times. After a while, he returned the phone to me. Okay, take your time to see it yourself. When he walked to the door, he kept looking back. Brother, I want to open something. I waved my hand. Walk slowly, don't send me. I restored the chat history on the phone. The conversation she had with that man was simply unsightly. It turned out that the man was her fitness coach. A year ago, she said that she felt like she had been sitting for a long time and her stomach seemed to have fat, and she wanted to exercise. At that time, I transferred 30,000 yuan to her without saying a word and asked her to go to the gym to get a card. I didn't expect that she would get involved with her personal trainer. At first, the two were still unfamiliar with each other. But in just 1 week, the two chatted passionately. At first, the man was just tentatively flirting. You smell so good. I met you today. It's so soft. My waist is so thin, etc. But later, he started to post something. I'm standing behind you today. I just want to cling to you. Do you feel it? Your husband is so blessed. I miss you. Do you miss me? In the end, the two finally rolled the sheets for the first time in the hotel. But for some reason, the man seemed to be particularly interested in coming to my house. Also loved to do it in my bedroom, when I was at home. The fitness coach kept asking Sume to send some nude photos, and as soon as I went out, he would come to the door. There were many more records. I didn't want to read them at all. Dirty eyes. I let go of my fingers, chose some of the things they talked about explicitly and explosively, took screenshots, and sent them to my phone. I also removed the cameras at home before, and all the videos were saved. After doing this, I went straight to sleep in the guest room. On the 3rd day, I took her to place a deposit of 300 Saru yuan on the flat floor. Of course, the money she made was her own. If there was not enough money, I would let her take out an online loan first. Wife, the money to buy a house is still a little short. It's enough for my mother to sell the old house. You wait. I will give you the 300,000 yuan when I pay the full amount. The house was written with her name. And since I got married, I have responded to almost everything. And I've never lied to her. Naturally, she trusted me. While chatting, she was already fantasizing about living on the big flat floor at the end of the year. Soon. Early in the morning, I sent her a luxurious dress worth more than 400,000 yuan. The dress was rented in her name, but if it was dirty or damaged, it must be compensated according to the original price. Before the banquet started, I asked her who she had called. She showed me the list of guests. At a glance, I saw an unfamiliar name. This person was not her friend or colleague. Who is this? Why don't I know him? I asked directly. She paused. This is a friend. Didn't I get a card at the gym before? This coach takes good care of me, so I'll invite you today. I nodded, and the stone in my heart fell to the ground. Without him, today's play would not be so exciting. Soon it was evening. Her colleagues and friends arrived one after another. Before the opening, she entered in a high-end luxury dress. Through the crowd, I saw the man staring at her for a moment. Those eyes seemed to be glued to her body. I checked. This fitness coach was called Xiao Ming. He had a harmonious family and a 3-year-old daughter. Coaching was just a part-time job. His job was a physical education teacher at the school. No wonder she had a common topic with Su Mei and could still get together. When she came out, the first thing she saw was not me. Instead, she glanced at Xiao Ming. But in full view, the two were still quite suspicious and didn't talk much. Soon, it was time to cut the cake. I pushed out the 2-layer cake and took another step forward. Su Mei remembered the big surprise I had said before, and she looked at me expectantly, and I took out my phone and connected it to the big screen. All the lights at the scene were turned off. Immediately afterwards, everyone saw a chat record appear on the screen. Everyone was stunned for a moment, and then they realized who the protagonist in the chat record was. Soon the video I had saved earlier also played. Only then did Su Mei suddenly come back to her senses. Aha! As early as when the video started, I retreated to the door. Through the faint light of the scene, I saw Su Mei anxiously trying to turn off the screen, but accidentally knocked over the shelf with the cake. Most of the cake hit her skirt straight down. I heard the sound of ping-pong again. I don't know whose red wine was spilled on her chest. With a pop, I turned on the light. Everyone's eyes fell on her in disbelief. Xiao Ming saw something wrong, raised his hand to cover his face, and wanted to leave. Just as he opened the door, he saw his wife blocking the door menacingly. "Old man dear, listen to me." Xiao Ming's wife was very tough. She directly picked up a chair and smashed it on Xiao Ming's head. That strength, even if I saw it, I couldn't help but touch my head. "Husband, listen to my explanation." Xiao Ming just fell softly, and I saw Su Mei chasing after her. At this time, more than 400,000 dresses had been stained by cakes, and most of the skirts were dyed by cakes, and the chest was scarlet. "TSK, I'm afraid she's going to lose a lot of money, right?" She took a step forward. I took a step back. She burst into tears and looked at me beggingly. "Husband, listen to my explanation." I nodded, you say. She opened her mouth, but couldn't say a word, and finally could only cover her face and squat down. "I love you." "I love you. I didn't expect it. I really regret it. I regret it." I glanced at the woman who couldn't help crying, and I sneered and turned my head to leave. 3 months later, I got my divorce certificate. At the beginning, after her cheating was exposed by me, I filed for divorce. Although her name was added to the house, I was paying off the loan, and in the past few years, she has hardly spent a penny for her family, and even the money for groceries was transferred to her by me. She was the fault party of the marriage. I asked her to leave the house. At first, she was reluctant, neither willing to leave home nor divorce. She kept saying that it was me whom she loved. She was just confused for a moment. She even came to me several times, asked me to forgive her, and even asked me to beat her to ask for my forgiveness. "Hit you, get my hands dirty." When she heard my words, the blood on her face faded. She seemed to finally understand the reason why I never touched her once after returning from that business trip. She cried, made trouble, and made a fuss for several months. Finally, after I found her parents, after being slapped by her father and taken back, she was willing to divorce. I breathed a sigh of relief. After all, I once loved her. I didn't really want to ruin her. But after hearing about the divorce, she resigned. First, she couldn't stand the pointing of her colleagues. Second, the coach's wife also often went to splash. I heard that she was beaten several times. I can't afford to mess with it, so I can only hide. After resigning, where did she go? I don't know. I don't care. After all, who cares about where the garbage they lose is transported?